I'm trying to watch videos that have been on the shelf, and I feel guilty about them whenever I see them because if I pass them up and watch other movies instead. So today we are reviewing the iconic 70s comedy classic Smokey and the Bandit, and this movie is definitive of a certain place of time. As you can see there, he's got the Confederate flag front license plate. 1977 Pontiac Trans Am T-top. That is the starring element of this movie. To me, this is a quintessential movie made entirely possible by the improvisation of Jackie Gleason. Interesting factoid. So this movie has an hour and 37-minute runtime. It is the directorial debut of Hal Needham, who is a stuntman for the most part, and then he made his foray into movies. He wrote this movie on a legal pad, and Burt Reynolds read it and said he thought it was the worst script that he ever read, but he agreed to star in the film anyway. I remember watching this movie all the time when I was a kid. This is a trilogy movie. This was the second highest grossing film at the box office in 1977. So this originally, the movie had a budget of $4.5 million. They cut it down to $3.3 million, and it went on to gross $300 million at the box office in 1977. Second place to Star Wars. Just to put it in perspective, Star Wars was number one at the box office in 77. That particular film grossed $775 million. So this is an interesting movie when I read about it. I liked it, but it's not like... I think I have childhood nostalgia. Let's talk about the reviews. We'll get that out of the way. So I think this is a B movie. It was written to be a B movie. I'm 3 out of 5. It's not the best movie, but it's entertaining and it has a lot of laughs. This movie helped spur on the CB radio craze of the 70s and the early 80s prior to cell phones. Sally Field, they said that they wanted a more attractive woman to star, but Reynolds wanted her, and then they ended up starring her. The interesting thing about this movie... So it gets, and most people are middle of the road, except for there is people that view it as an iconic film. So like critics, for example, they're kind of along the lines of where I'm thinking. They're 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas I'm 3 out of 5, like I mentioned a minute ago. IMDb, a little bit stronger, 7 out of 10. Google users are 4.6 out of 5 with 127 people reporting. So people really like this movie. This is the year my dad graduated from high school, I might add, 1977. So maybe it's like a certain place, a certain point in time. It's in the lexicon of your brain. The movie, to me, was very anticlimactic, but then I read that there was 2 more, and it's a trilogy. I've never watched them. They look to have horrible reviews. One of them had a 17% Rotten Tomatoes score. Part 3, I think. Part 2 had a 25% Rotten Tomatoes score. I don't think I'm going to run the whole gamut with the Smokey and the Bandit franchise. What is astounding about this movie is how little it cost to make. Like I said, $3.3 to $4.3 million budget, making $300 million. And the fact that because of the script was so terrible, pretty much the majority of the film was improvised on site, with Jackie Gleason calling in certain scenes and sight gags that are very influential in the hubris of the film. Jackie Gleason's a master of comedy. And he plays Texas Sheriff Buford T. Justice, which to me sounded like a joke. But no, Buford T. Justice was a real police chief in Riviera Beach, Florida, that Burt Reynolds' father actually knew personally. And the title track song, what is it called? Eastbound and Down, was written in like a day by Jerry Reed. That is an iconic song that I have always just, it's still in the old noggin, even though I haven't watched the movie in probably 25 years. I literally probably watched this movie in the 90s as a kid, but it stuck, like, as it played out. It's like everything that I remembered from a kid about liking this movie. It's still a fun movie. So, Smokey and the Bandit, it just boggles my mind that pretty much all the dialogue wasn't even off the script because it was so terrible that the cast just pretty much riffed and did whatever they wanted to do. To me, that makes this movie great, even though I'm not in the 4s or 5s. It's still, like I said, it's a B movie, and it's meant to be a B movie. It was written that way, and it's a fun movie. Jackie Gleason, he's the reason that I watched this film, and all of the car crashes. I feel like maybe John Landis was inspired with so many of the police car destruction in the 1979 film, 1980 release Blues Brothers. So 3 years later, 3 years later, you get Blues Brothers, another film featuring police car destruction of insane magnitude. They picture the Deep South in a certain way. I feel like they picture the Deep South in the way they pictured the Deep South in the movie Live and Let Die that we've reviewed here on the channel. Bunch of redneck hicks, bunch of renegade lawmen running amok, doing whatever they want. But maybe that's how it was back then. I don't know if it's still that way today. I'm in California. Who knows? So that's my review. Smokey and the Bandit, 1977. Check it out. If you really want me to watch part 2 and 3, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll take those on in a 2-for-1 review. Until next time, folks, we'll see you then.